time to get back into updates, but before I do that, I just want to reiterate that I can't talk about what I'm enjoying in a book. So when I do these updates, what you get is me talking about what's happening in the plot, and then the things that I pick out to talk about will always, without fail, be the things that are bothering me usually, like plot holes or things the characters do that piss me off, or parts of the writing that make me laugh, and not in a good way, So just be aware that in these, I'm just going to come across like a miserable fucking bitch. And if you don't want to hear all the bad stuff about the book that I didn't enjoy, don't watch them. Because I physically just, for some reason, don't know how to talk about the things I love about a book. Like, I have books that I love with, like, all my heart and soul. And if you ask me to describe why, I can't tell you. I can't. It's just, I don't know how. The things that piss me off, I could talk about that for days. It's so much easier to explain why something bothers me than why something is great. Before I get to the updates, I want to address something that has become clearer to me as I'm writing up my chapter by chapter recap, and that is the fact she's not just ruining Rhys and Feyre for me. She's ruining Mor, she's ruining Amren, and it's for the basic idea of that they were so kind and loving and understanding and would defend Feyre in whatever she wanted to do, however she wanted to deal with her trauma and what she went through. So kind and loving. Are they like that with Nesta? No, because the way she decides to deal with her trauma is unacceptable to them. And like Nesta points out, she wouldn't even be a Fae. She wouldn't have gone through any of that stuff if it wasn't for them. But yeah. But now that she's dealing with her own trauma and has gone through horrific things, witnessed horrific things, she gets no understanding. And Rhys even tells Feyre that he hates her, and he still hates her for never helping Feyre when she was younger. And she points out, but like, oh, you've forgiven Elain, you don't hate Elain. And he's like, oh, Elain's different. No. She honestly ruins his character for me when he's like, oh, Elain is Elain, it's different. No, it's not, it's the exact same thing. She did the exact same thing as Nesta growing up. She never helped Feyre. It's not different. The only difference is that Elain is handling her trauma in a way that you find acceptable. And I hate him. She's ruined his character. Amren, she's also ruined. Amren basically slut shames Nesta for sleeping around. Okay. Not only that, but Feyre only gives her two options. She's like, you can do as I say, or you can go to the human lands. And she says the reason that she chose the human lands is because it would be like a prison to someone like Nesta. So she shoves her somewhere knowing that she cannot get out of it. She shoves her in the house knowing that she will not be able to physically make it down those 10,000 steps, so she won't be able to leave. She'll only be able to leave when she goes to training, that's it. Locking her essentially in a house. And like, no offence, Feyre, but did you not have a whole fucking book where you gave up the man you loved because he locked you in a house, and that was unacceptable for you because, due to the trauma you'd been through, you hated being locked up somewhere. But, that was completely unforgivable for you. You could not forgive that. But it's different when you do it because you're helping Nesta, because she's not handling her trauma the way you did, and that's so bad. How dare she go out and get drunk? And I know that she's spending their money to do it, but again, she would not. She has a point. She would not be where she is if it wasn't for you. Just putting it out there, she's not wrong. And the worst thing is Mor. She also ruins Mor for me, because Mor suggests that they should just throw her in the Court of Nightmares because she'd thrive there. She's comparing Nesta to the people from the Court of Nightmares. That's right, Mor says that she is on the same level and deserves to be in a place with people who, one, treat women horrifically, but are willing to brutalise, sexually assault and beat their own children into within an inch of their lives and dump them somewhere to die. Yeah, Nesta's on that level because, let me check my notes, she's dealing with her trauma by drinking and sleeping around. You're right, Mor, completely comparable. And at another point, she also says to Nesta that she just wanted to dump her in the human lands, where she would not be accepted and maybe even killed, because she knows people like her, and she does not deserve the benefit of the doubt that good people like Castian give her. Why are they acting like Nesta's the most evil person in the history of the world? She's getting drunk and sleeping around, and doesn't want to talk to any of you because she's going through some shit, but you act like she killed your puppy. But let's get into the actual updates. Chapter 56, the house leads a trail of evergreen twigs for Nesta to follow that leads her down into the library, into the lowest pits of the library, where she finds a lantern, and she realises that the darkness in the darkness she sees is the heart of the house, and it's been trying to show her and the girls that they're just like it. And honestly, I should get the book and reread it so I can understand what the fuck was going on in that chapter, but I don't want to. I don't have a clue what's going on with the magical fucking house. But she found the heart of the house in the darkness in the pit of the library. Make of that what you will, people, because me, confused. So we're at winter solstice, which means only 3 months have taken place in this book, because it starts 9 months after last winter solstice. Interesting. But they use the ball to announce Feyre's pregnancy, like they have it as the big reveal, and we get this. Reese's face was a portrait of smug male pride. Of course it was. Of course it was. He's not just going to smile, people. It's going to be a purely male smile. They're not just arrogant. It's purely male arrogance. And they're not just going to be proud. They're going to be proud as only a male can be. But yes, then Reese gifts Eris the dagger that Nesta made, pretends it's an old family heirloom, and then Eris asks Nesta to dance. They have, a dancing session, because apparently she's this like fucking amazing dancer, and I'm just saying, the whole thing is pointless. The whole thing is pointless. Eris, be our ally, even though you're already allied with us, but like, please super be our ally. Look, let me dance with you. Like, it's just, don't even get me started. But yeah, Eris is like, oh, don't believe all the lies they've told you about me. They're not true. Only Moore knows the truth, but she won't tell anyone because she's afraid of it. I'm like, oh my god, are we going to find out that Moore has another secret she's not told anyone about, that we've just magically kept hidden for 500 years? Okay then, if you say so. So she dances with Eris, then Cassian comes and dances with her, then Asriel, and then Eris goes off to speak to Reese and is like, I'll give you whatever you want as long as I can marry her. Reese is like, yeah, maybe, we'll see, I'll talk to her. And then Nesta goes with Cassian to Feyre's to celebrate winter solstice, and Moore asked to join them in the training, so my prediction that she's getting with Emery is probably going to come true. I'm still sad it's not Gwyn. But yeah, we find out what the present was that Cassian threw in the river, by the way. It was a tiny book, an illuminated manuscript, like one of the first printed books in existence, and he spent months searching for it, which she built up to be some big thing, and it's an underwhelming reveal. As a book lover, I'm like, yeah, great, but it wasn't even set up before this book that she was a big lover of reading and books. Like, from what I remember, does anyone remember that? I don't remember it being this big thing that she loves to read. So after the fact now, I'm just like, ugh, the theories were better than that. That time when they go back to the house, he gives her a gift. It's a very thoughtful gift. It's like this little silver ball that when she taps it, it plays music. He had to literally go hunt down all of the musicians to re-record the music they played at the ball so she could have it, which makes her freak out that he got her a thoughtful gift, and she's like, I don't want it, take it back. He's like, bitch, it's a gift, not a wedding ring. She's like, yeah, that's fine, I can go to Eris for a wedding ring, trying to convince him that she wants to marry Eris. So he gets mad and he's like, fine, marry him. And she's like, I will marry him. Like, he's a brute and a piece of shit, and he's exactly what I deserve. She tells Cassian that he's like good and brave and too good for her, and she doesn't deserve him, and like, she's never deserved him, and that's why she's been so horrible to him the entire time. She's pushing him away, because she's wanted him from the moment she met him, and that terrifies her. And then Cassian's like, you're not going to marry Eris, and she agrees. And he's like, there will never be anyone else for either of us, and she agrees, and then they have sex. If you've read one, it's the same sex scene again, basically. But then Cassian's like, you're not going to marry him, she agrees. And he's like, there will never be anyone else for us but each other, she agrees. And then they have sex, or as she calls it, make love. And Sarah J Maas recycles another old classic from her sex scenes. Nesta says, you're mine. Like, do not start, Sarah. You cannot get away with this. You cannot keep writing the exact same thing. This is basically just your previous books recycled. I feel like I'm reading Reese and Feyre having sex. It's the exact same sex scene. Stop. Just stop. thought I was going to get through one whole book without the like, you're mine, I'm yours, and obsessively calling each other mates and stuff, but apparently not. And then they like spend the night, they sleep in the same bed for the first time ever. Isn't it lovely? And then after their night together, Cassian goes off for the annual snowball fight and then to inspect some legions. So she has Emery and Gwyn over for a girly slumber party where they make fucking friendship bracelets like they're 5, which have these little beads on them. And I can't remember, I think it might have been Gwyn or Emery who's like, oh, you're supposed to like make a wish on the bead. So Nesta's like, let me do it. You know, Nesta, who, you know, has got magic, and when she hammered a sword, she made it magical. So she's like, let me make the wish. And she's like, I wish that we'll always be able to find our way back to each other. Very specific, Sarah. Let's see if that comes into play later. I guess we will see, won't we, people? And then at training, they finally all cut the ribbon. And so after that, the training turns into like obstacle courses. Cassian and Azrael have made it super hard, apparently. They work in groups of 3, and he changes it every day so that they can't like learn it. After 2 weeks, they still haven't completed it. Gwyn and Azrael seem to have a little thing starting, and I hate it. They finally complete the obstacle course after 2 months. So now this has all taken place after 5 months. They've passed, and apparently this is the qualifier to get into the Blood Rite. And they'd made Lord Devlin come to see it so that he could see that they had been able to complete it. So now if they want to, all 3 of them can take part in the Blood Rite, okay? And I have many a fault. And I have many a fault, because all 3 of them are like, no, we don't want to take part. We just want to be Valkyries. We don't need to take part. We don't need to prove anything. Okay, Sarah, I believe you. They're not going to take part, are they? Yeah, I believe you. Sure. It's been 5 months now since the book side. Nesta refused to train for a few of those months, or like for at least a week or 2. The girls didn't come to training for quite a while. They refused. So these girls, let's give them benefit of the doubt that all 4 of them have been training for 4 months, for 2 hours a day for 4 months. From going from absolutely 0 training to training once a day for a couple of hours for 4 months, and now qualified for the Blood Rite. The Illyrian kids have to go to training camps from the age of like 4 to train for every single day, training for like 9-10 hours a day. And I know Sarah. I can already, like, this book is, I hope it's going to shock me, but I can already predict that these 3 bitches are going to make it to the top of that fucking mountain. And I will lose it. I will take a star off. Whatever the rating is at that moment, I will take a star off, because she had Rhys explain it to Feyre. The Blood Rite. Illyrian soldiers get taken to these camps as babies. Some of them are even born there. They train every single day just to take part in the Blood Rite for years and years and years. And Rhys specifically said that in the whole history of the Blood Rite taking place, only 6 people have ever reached the peak. That's how difficult it is. People who have trained their whole lives just to take part in it don't reach the peak. But you want me to believe 3 untrained people who've only trained for 4 months for a couple of hours a day reach the fucking peak? No, I'm calling bullshit. I am calling fucking bullshit. And I'm taking a star off if that happens. And just to prove to herself that her training is complete, Nesta goes down the stairs again, because the last time she went down there she was super angry. And she figures it was just the adrenaline. So she goes down, manages to reach the bottom. Then she goes to the Starfall party with Cassian. And she finally apologises to Amren. And Amren's like, oh, I saw what you did to the house. And kind of explains that she made the house. She made the house what it is now. And she's like, what did you wish for when you came to the house? And she was like, I wanted a friend. So she basically like made the house her friend. Again, I'm just going to breeze fucking past it, okay? And we are 85% into this book, okay? What is the plot? What has the plot been? Nothing is coming together. They're clearly going to take part in the Blood Rite one way or the other. I know she's like, we don't want to take part, but they're going to change their mind and take part, because you wouldn't keep bringing it up. But all they've done is train, fuck. There's no plot. There's none. They found a mask and a thingy. Well done. Okay, so it's just come up that the Blood Rite is a few days away, so if these bitches are going to change their mind about taking part, they better hurry up. Nesta and Cassian get a letter to go meet Eris near the, like in the middle, near the mountain, where Under the Mountain is. And he's like, oh, they're 3 of them are sister peaks. Okay, this one, the one that the prison is under, and the one that they have to reach in the blood right that no one ever reaches, the Ramiel. Um, he's like, nobody knows why they exist, but they're all broad and barren and at odds with all the other mountains around them. And he's like, isn't it weird that 2 of the 3 have underground palaces carved into them? The prison and under the mountain. Amarantha didn't build that palace under the mountain, it was already there. He's like, the Illyrians have never checked under there, like if there's one in the other mountain. I know Sarah, she ain't bring that up. There's obviously a palace in there. What will they find in it? My guess is probably that 4th Dread Trove item that she could see in her vision but couldn't see exactly what it was. After they leave their meeting with Eris, they go for a walk by the river, and for some reason she's like, oh, does it undermine my image as a warrior? Like, I like how she thinks she's a fucking warrior. Bitch, when? Okay, but whatever. She's a warrior. She ain't fought any battles, but she's a warrior. To be seen with him, and he's like, no, it doesn't undermine Feyre's to be with Rhys. And she's like, it's different, they're mates. And he's like, what, and you don't think we are? And he's like, why does that word scare you so much? And she's like, it means nothing to me. Which, true, I was really hoping Sarah J Maas was going to shock us and surprise us. She does not. He's like, bullshit, you know what I've known since the day after Solstice, that like, I guess from the minute I met you that you're my mate, we're mates, and you know it. So they're mates, which I think every single romance in this series is going to be mates, finding mates. I really thought she weren't going to do it to us people, but I think she is. But yeah, they have a fight, and she's like, I can't say that word. I'll lose my last bit of humanity and be one of you, and I never asked to be one of you. And he's like, well, I never asked to be shackled to you either. Which, after he says it, he's like, oh shit, that was a poor choice of words. I shouldn't have said that. But she's already pissed about it, and she's like, I want to call in my favour, because they struck a deal that, I can't remember if I mentioned it, but they struck a deal that if she trained for an hour, she could have a favour from him, like a bargain. So it was fitting that now he has to do whatever she asked for in the favour. And she's like, I want you to go to the House of Wind for the night and to not speak to me until I come to find you, or a week has passed. And I'm like, oh my god, it literally is a Court of Mist and Fury where we have a big mate reveal and then they fight and it results in one of them running away for a week and refusing to speak to the other one. Sarah, honey, just say you're out of ideas. Just say it. This is the same book. Okay, no, this bitch, I mean, power to her, because she's gonna have made a fucking fortune off this book, and she's literally just copied and pasted her own storylines over and over again, and we're just gonna eat it up. We are. She's gonna do it in the next book. I'm still gonna buy it. I know it's coming, I don't even care. More comes, so that she can winnow her away somewhere to get away from Cassian. It's Akamath. Same fucking book. It's like she took some Akamath, she took some fucking Shadow and Bone, like, caused her like 3 amplifiers bullshit. Fucking Nesta's probably gonna have to stab Cassian at the end and then give up her powers to magically bring him back. So that we can literally just have Shadow and Bone meets Court of Mist and Fury and Aqua all shoved into one. I can't. I literally can't. I'm dying. I'm dying. Okay, so then Mor turned up with Gwyn, and they were going to stay there the night. And I was thinking, oh, the Bloodbright's a couple of days away. They're going to all be there, which is convenient. And then maybe they'll have a girly bonding moment and be like, we can do this, girls. Let's take part. Because Sarah Janet is not going to let us foul. Even though she said only 6 people in the history of fucking the Bloodbright existing have ever reached the peak. Us 3 people who've only trained for 3 months, 4 months. She would let us reach the peak. Sarah Janet wouldn't do us dirty like that. She will let us get there. We may as well take part. That was my prediction. I was wrong. They basically get kidnapped and forced into the right. So, yeah. I knew they were going to take part in it. Come on, we all knew. God, this book is predictable. Rhys and Cassian go there the next day, find them all missing, and realise that they have been shoved into the blood right. Which my prediction is still that these 3 bitches are going to make it to the fucking top of this mountain and touch that fucking rock, man. Ugh. They'd like Rhys, Cassian, Feyre and all that. They all get together. Sorry, I'm laughing already. All get together. She's like, get my sister out of there. Because obviously that would be what you do. You just go find her, get her out. No, people, do you want to hear? Do you want to hear why they can't do that? Law dictates that if someone pulls a warrior from the blood riot, they will be hunted and down and killed along with the warrior they took out. So if Cassian goes together, they will both die. And even Rhys can't break the rules. Super convenient that. Can I ask a question? What the fuck can Rhys do as a High Lord? Because let's look at this. He can't enforce his own rules on the Illyrians. Can't do it. He's been trying to get them to train the women properly. None of them have been doing it. Tried to get them to ban wing clipping. They still fucking do it. The man has literally no power. When war was coming and he needed the hewn cities armies, he was like, oh, I can't force them. They can refuse and I can't do anything about it. Mate, what the fuck can you do as a High Lord? You are literally useless. Like, we were led to believe that Rhys is the most powerful High Lord that's ever been. But literally, man's got zero power, even in his own fucking court. He's just got all these people going off doing whatever the fuck they want, and he's like, no, I can't break the rules. You're High Lord, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Mate, Rhys is weak as fuck, man. This book has just shown me it. Dude. But yes, and it turns out Eris has been captured by Briarlyn. She's taken him, Briarlyn, whatever the fuck her name is. And Az is like, we're going to have to go get him out. Rhys can't go. And he's like, why can't you go? And he's like, one, Feyre is close to giving birth now, apparently. And I forgot about the bargain that they made. They made that stupid, dumb, supposedly romantic, but stupid fucking bargain that when one dies, they go together, they die together. It's supposed to be super romantic. So if she dies in labour, Rhys will also die. Which I wish you'd stop telling me, because I know she's going to go into labour, almost die, and somehow be saved. I know. Like, bitch, stop bringing it up. I really don't care about the, oh, Feyre's going to die giving birth storyline. No, she's not. No, she's fucking not, Sarah. I know you. I've read your books. No, she's fucking not. No one's going to die in this book. No one. In the next book, no one's going to fucking die. In the one after that, they could go to war. They could be 6 of them against 1 million soldiers with all the powers in the world, and all of them would come out alive, because I fucking know you, bitch. But yeah, you just keep dragging it out. Oh, Feyre's going to die giving birth. No, she isn't. I wish you would kill her. At this point, I wish you would kill her. I wish she would die. Rhys would drop down dead, just so I could be surprised. Just so you could shock me. Just so something in your book could shock me. Because right now, it's pissing me. Every time you bring it up, I want to throw the book across the room, because I know you ain't going to kill her. It's just a pointless storyline. It's so pointless. I really would. I just wish she'd kill him. At least it'd make it more entertaining. Feyre wakes up in the blood riot, realises what's happened. All the soldiers around her are still unconscious. Obviously, they've used magic to knock them out, and also magic to take away their magic, so they can't use their wings or their magic. But another soldier is awake, and at the same time, they both notice a dagger in a tree, which is weird because weapons are banned in the blood riot. So at the minute, she's like, could that just be a coincidence? Someone left it there, or like, is something weird going on, because there should not be weapons. They run for it at the same time. She grabs it first and he jumps on her, and they go rolling down a hill. And of course, as she's rolling, the dagger just falls in him and kills him. So she steals his clothes, because she's in her night clothes, and then she's like, I better go find Gwyn and Emery. And it just so happens she's wearing her friendship bracelet, and that charm that she magically wished would let them always find their way to each other glows to indicate where they are. Handy that. But yeah, basically what happens is, like, she holds the bead out and it glows when it's pointed in the direction where one of the girls are. Convenient that. And the stronger it glows, she's like, oh, that person must need me the most. My brain thought like, oh, he's closer, but her brain says he needs the most help. So she gets caught by an Illyrian who conveniently woke up where Emery was, but he says he left her there to get killed by the other people. She manages to take him down, kill him, steal his stuff, and then go look for Emery. And I am still in shock that, like, Illyrians trained from childhood for the blood riot, and I'm to believe 3 people who've trained for less than 6 months are going to beat them all and make it to the top of that mountain. Don't do it to me, Sarah. Don't do it to me. Nesta overhears soldiers talking and realises Emery jumped in the river to get away from them. She follows it down till she finds her unconscious, rescues her from the river, shares a cave with an Illyrian guy who knows who her sister is, and he's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna fucking piss off Feyre by killing you, so come chill in the cave. They spend the night in there. Creatures come in the night and kill loads of soldiers outside. The guy's name's Balthazar. We learn his name, so I don't know if he's going to be important later. She doesn't introduce character names for no reason, so maybe he's going to be important later, I don't know. But the next morning she steals equipment off dead soldiers and he goes off on his own. We kind of switch back to Azrael and Cassian, and they've heard that Aerys was taken into the Queen's Castle, and the hope is that he can't be influenced by the crown because he has the dagger Nesta gave him. That might stop it somehow because it's made. I guess we'll see. But basically, they've heard a rumour that the Queen is planning to take him somewhere soon, so they're just going to wait around. Just wait until they leave, and then they'll get him that way, I guess. Emery wakes up. They use Nesta's glowing charm to start making their way to find Gwyn, and they come across a camp of male warriors and they find her nightdress hanging up, so they're like, they must have it because it's indicating that she's there. But she sees 10 men sitting around like a fire eating, and she's like, oh, I recognise that guy, but I don't know who he is. But they're grabbed from behind by people who've come up behind them, and they're taken into camp, and she realises the guy she recognised was Bellius, Gwyn's cousin, from the very beginning of the book. And they used the nightgown as a trap because they knew that she'd be looking for Gwyn. Okay, so one thing she mentions is that Bellius's eyes are glassy like the Autumn Court soldiers, so he's under the influence of the crown. Because I just assumed Lord Devlin kidnapped him and put him in here just to get back at him for qualifying. Just be like, fine then, you can go in there and die. But apparently Bryllin's behind it because he says that, like, he refers to her as a she and that he put the weapons in because she told him to. Why does she want her to take part in the blood riot? To die? Or is there a palace under this mountain, so she wants her to get to the mountain so that she can get her to get whatever's in there? Like, what is the end goal here? To get her killed? Does she not need the items that Nesta's hiding? Like, if you can have the girl kidnapped and taken somewhere, would you not just have her taken and kidnapped and brought to your castle where you could get whatever you wanted? Like, what is the end goal? I don't understand. I don't get the motivation. I just think it's so that she can have her take part. Gwyn is alive. She leads some creature to the camp so that they can escape. They all escape together. Emery talks to them about the blood riot and how, like, her family were always super mad at the fact that Rhys, Azriel, and Cassian reached the top of the mountain because it's so hard. Only 6 people have ever done it, people, in centuries. Thousands and thousands, God knows how many thousands, maybe even more than thousands of people have taken part in this over centuries and centuries, and only 6 people have ever managed it. But I fucking know Sarah. Trained their whole life. These people trained since childhood and can't fucking reach the peak. But get some girls to train for 4 months, straight up there. She's gonna do it to me, isn't she? And I know she wants me to be like, women power, but I like my book to be realistic, and it don't make a lick of sense. It don't. It ain't realistic, Sarah. Okay? It's not. I'm calling bullshit on it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this story because I just, like, Sarah thinks I don't know her. I know you, bitch. Emery says, like, oh, we'll be lucky if we make it to the pass of Annihilus in One Piece. And Annihilus, look, I'm gonna butcher names, just forgive me. Which guarantees that they will make it to this pass. Because long ago, a great war was fought between Fae and ancient beings who opposed them, and key battle took place in the mountain. The enemy really wanted to reach the peak to that stone at the top, and there was a soldier named Annihilus who held the line against the enemy for days. He found a natural archway and used it as a bottleneck so that loads of the enemies could come in and he could kill them. Think of, like, the movie 300, you know, they hold off against the thing because they thin him out. But yeah, he died in the end, but bought them enough time for their allies to arrive, and the riot is used to honour him. Okay, she says there's only a few paths to this mountain, okay? But the hardest and most infamous is the one that takes you through that pass. It's the one that Cassian, Rhys, and Azriel took. Oh, I'm just going to hazard a guess. That these three have trained for 4 months, are going to go on the hardest path possible. And who's going to be the Annihilus of this story, people? Who's going to use that pass to fight people back so that their friends can get away and reach the top of the mountain? I wonder. Please surprise me. Sarah, please prove me wrong. I'd like to be proved that I'm a dumb fucking bitch at least once in this book. But I don't think all 3 of them are reaching the top of that mountain. Because one of them's going to be doing it, and it ain't going to be the 2 side characters now, is it? This is like that, where Azriel told Feyre that story about the fairy, the flying fairy, and then she had to have her own moment to be like the flying fairy in ACOWAR. She just repeats, man. The one thing I can't get my head around, okay, is that the rules of the Blood Right are to win, you just have to live. You don't even have to reach, like, you get a different level. These people don't want to be fucking soldiers, so they don't care what level they get from passing. To pass, you just have to survive. Like, by the time the last day is over, you just have to have survived. Like, they've all found each other. They could sit in a tree until it's over and win, but instead they're going to risk dying to head to the mountain. Why? It's just so that they can have the magical moment of somehow 3 untrained people who've had like 4 months of training can reach the peak. Like, I hate it because it's just unrealistic and it's bothering me. I can't believe it, Sarah. You've told me over like how hard this rite is, that trained warriors who've trained their whole lives can't do it, but people who've trained for 4 months with no experience, they're going to do it like that. Okay, so the next day they wake up, they spot a bridge going across a ravine, and they're like, if we get to that and go across it, we can cut it so nobody can follow us. But as they're making their way there, they see 6 Illyrian men running for it, so they run and attack them. They spot them as well, and they like run, attack, they fight, and the 3 of them manage to kill all 6 of these guys. And I know that Sarah wants me to be like, yeah, go on, girls. And I know she's like, I'm going to be on like, women power. But again, I'm just calling bullshit on it. I've seen how you describe these people every single time they come up with their purely male energy and their masculine bodies. That's all she fucking seems to go on about, how fucking big and strong these guys are, that they're in training rings all day, every day, while the women are fucking scrubbing away at stuff. And I know she wants me to be like, oh, and look, it's great because they're being beat by women. But I'm like, but no, it makes no sense to the fucking world. I'm sorry. I don't believe that people who train for 4 months are going to be able to take down 6 men who've trained their whole lives. I just don't. I know you're probably thinking, just fucking enjoy it, love. Why are you going on about it being realistic when it's got magical fucking fairies in it? I don't care, okay? Like, I don't care. I don't care. It's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. And I'm not calling bullshit because it's 3 women against a bunch of men. No, I'm calling bullshit on the only being trained for 4 months. Maybe not even that, because we haven't been given a good time frame on it. Compared to trained your whole entire life for this one thing, who do I think would win? If take out the men, and if it was Illyrian females who had been allowed to train since childhood, and you shoved the 3 of these women into the Blood Right with women who'd been training since the minute they were born until now, I would be calling bullshit too. No, they would not win. They'd be fucking dead. They'd be fucking dead. They just would. I'm calling bullshit. They're not that stupid. I know she thinks her characters are the most specialist people that have ever been created in the history of them. No, they're not. They'd be dead. They would be fucking dead. And it's taking me out of the story, and I hate it. They would be dead. Alright, Cassian and Azriel waited for 4 days, and now Eris is left on horseback with the Queen. She's like under a hood on a horse, but they know it's her because she's like tiny and small and frail. And Eris still has the dagger, so for some reason they think him having the little dagger that Nesta made will stop the crown working on him, so they're like, he must have betrayed us. I think the reason they think he betrayed them is that he was concerned that they would get the Dread Trove and use it. But I'm like, if he was worried about you guys using it, what the fuck makes you think that he'd go work for someone else who wants to use it? Like, I don't know. Sarah seems to be on a like, Eris is actually a good guy. He's been a good guy all along kick, so I don't think he's betrayed them. I just think the pissy little dagger does fuck all. So we're jumping back to Nesta and that. Oh, sorry. I just thought, I know I say it's impossible for me to think of words to explain what I'm enjoying about a book, but I just thought of something that I can tell you that I enjoy. The fact that this is not one POV. The fact that when you're getting to a moment where you really want to know what's about to happen, she can just be like, and now to Cassian. And I like that. I like that it keeps the tension building, because then you're like, oh fuck, and then you're just waiting to get back to find out what's going to happen. I actually really enjoy that about it. Okay, so back with Nesta and that, another group instantly finds them and is firing arrows at them as they try and get across the bridge. Gwyn gets injured, an arrow goes straight through her thigh, and the magic that takes out all of their magic also takes out their healing ability, so they can't just magically heal. So she's going to be really badly injured. Like, it's through her thigh. Okay, and I can guarantee you that this bitch is still going to accomplish what only 6 other people have accomplished before in their life. Getting to the top of that fucking mountain and touching that black stone at the top. But she's injured now, people. Injured. So she's going to be really slow about it. So to reach that peak before someone comes along and just... She's going to need someone to buy her time, do you think? Do you think? Who could do that for her? How could they do that? It's not like Sarah spent time telling us a story about a man who stood at a bottleneck in a mountain and killed people easily, buying people time. I wonder if that will pop up again. Like, I'm just waiting for something to surprise me. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's not going to use the past to buy them time so they can get to the peak. But I'm 90% in now. And like, I feel like it's just going to be a really rushed ending. What is even going to happen at the end? She's not going to make it to the peak, but these two gravely injured people are. She's got to address Feyre giving birth, and like, I know she wants me to be all scared and like sobbing when she acts like Feyre and Rhys are going to die together along with their baby. Sarah, I'm not going to do it, love. I'm not, because I know you ain't going to kill them. It's going to be addressed somehow. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm not going to act scared for the characters that I know you're not going to kill. I don't care. I don't care about that storyline. I don't think it should have been included. I think it's pointless because she's not going to kill him. What's the point of the storyline? I hate it. Okay, well, something's just been brought up just to add to the whole unrealistic thing that is this book. They mentioned that they are a day away from reaching the mountain, the foot of the mountain, and it will take them a whole day to scale the mountain, or they'll have a day to scale it. But Nesta says that she's obviously, I think Cassian must have told her, in the whole history of the Bloodright, only 12 people have ever accomplished that. Not getting to the top, reaching the mountain. 12 in the whole entire fucking history. In centuries, only 12 have ever been able to accomplish it. And you're telling me that these three are all going to manage it? Bullshit. Also, where is the pass? If the pass is also on the mountain, and I am correct, which I'm going to call even more bullshit, because for her to bottleneck it against loads of people trying to kill them would mean that loads of people will reach it. Like 12 people in the history of ever. If that pass is actually on the mountain, I cannot remember what I said a while back, and I'm not going to look through the book. I'm just not going to look for it. If 12 people have only ever reached it in the history of ever, and these three are definitely reaching it, I guarantee the two others are going to touch it. I don't think Nesta is, but at least those two are. If the pass is on the mountain and she wants this cool scene where Nesta gets to fight against all the people to save them time to get to the top, that means that in the history of ever, people train their whole lives to get it. Only 12 people have ever reached it, and in this one, she's going to need to fight against at least, like, what, 5 people? They're like 8 will. I'm calling bullshit. I don't care. I don't care. It's fucking bullshit. What is different about this one except that they have weapons? Wouldn't it make it harder to reach the peak because people have more of a chance to kill you? Like, surely, well, also why is this on my mind? I obviously reread before I read this one. In ACOFAS they make a massive deal about how all of the Illyrian camps, there's rebellion brewing, and that I thought that was going to be a big thing in this book. It was not. Basically what they did is at the start of this book, they just said, and Cassian was at the war camps for 4 months, and now everyone's happy again. Like, he squashed that rebellion like that. But the reason that they were rebelling is because loads of their men went off to war and died, and they lost loads of warriors. But then their whole thing is the Bloodright, where they just send men in to take part and be killed. And I'm like, if you're worried about your numbers, maybe don't do that. Like... But yeah, I'm calling bullshit on this whole Bloodright thing. It seems dumb as fuck right now. But yeah, it's said that they will be going through the breaking, so the same path that Rhys and Azriel and Cassian took, you know, the one that's said to be the hardest one that most people avoid because it's the hardest one. But these girls are gonna do it, people. Even though one of them's got a fucking injured leg and everything, they're gonna do it, make it through the hardest trail possible up the mountain, and survive. I'm sorry, it's unrealistic and dumb to me. It bothers me. Like, it just seems like this Bloodright is not as hard as they all made out. Like, now I'm less impressed that Cassian and Azriel and Rhys made it. Of course you fucking made it. Apparently anyone could. Apparently anyone can make it to the top. You could have an arrow through your thigh and you're still making it to the top. The Illyrians are apparently weak as fuck. because getting to the top of that mountain seems like the easiest thing in the world to accomplish. So, like, it's not even an accomplishment for reading that anymore. I'm like, oh, you did that? Wow. Then they're up in the tree and they go over their backstories with each other. Just think of every traumatic backstory she's given to her female side characters, and you've got it. I'm not going into the details of it. And then Emery says that even though they could just sit in the tree, at least someone brought it up that they could just sit it out and still win that way. She says she wants to climb the mountain for her mum, who her dad, like, beat to death. And Nesta tells her story, and then she's like, yeah, let's win this whole thing. Like, we're gonna win this whole thing. Like, I'm sure you're going to, and I know I'm supposed to feel something when you do, but I can't because it's bullshit. But yeah, then we switch back to Cassian and that. They follow Eris and Brylin, and Cassian's watching them and somehow fucking just loses track of Eris, who sneaks up on him, and then we go back to Nesta. Like, the back and forth, I quite enjoy the back and forth. We've just switched back to Nesta. They're 2/3 up the mountain when they notice 7 people, including Bellius, of course, following them on the mountain. That's right, people, in the whole entire history of it, the thing, it's so difficult, such an accomplishment that Cassian and Rhys did it, that 12 people have only ever made it to the mountain. 12 to the mountain, not even to the top, just to the mountain. This book alone, 10 of them. Calling bullshit on it, and I know why she's done it, why she's suddenly, oh, actually, it's not as hard as I said it was. You just need a sword and you totally make it up the mountain. It's not hard. Duh. She's just done it so that Nesta is literally going to do the same fucking thing she did in her other book, where we have a character tell the backstory of someone doing something incredible centuries ago, for your main character then go and do the exact same thing that person did centuries ago. She shouldn't go on the past and magically be able to kill 7 fucking men again. I'm calling fucking... We switch back to Eris and Cassian, and he's saying he's disappointed Rhys never looked into his mind, basically suggesting that he's not under control of the crown, but then he calls Mor the Morrigan, and Cassian realises she's just having him act as if he's not under the control of it, but he is. But he raises a good point, and I still want to moan about this, from Akawar. Rhys in this book is now like, I don't look into the minds of my allies, it's wrong and I would never do that. But we've seen him look into other people's minds before, okay? But Jurian was not his ally, he was his enemy, who he thought was working with the king. It was dumb that this man never once thought to use that to his advantage. Like, I can get into people's heads, maybe it'd be useful to get into this man's head and find out what's going on, but I won't even attempt it. I'm sorry. Sometimes she comes up with these things like, oh, my character can get into anyone's mind, he's the strongest person ever, he can do that, but now that it's convenient for my plot and to have a shock twist later, no, he's not going to do it. Dumb. It's dumb. Okay, so they've finally made it to the pass, and it is at that exact moment that Nesta's like, they're going to catch us, we're too slow, because they're having to, like, carry Gwyn because she's injured. So she's like, I can do this for you all. I can hold them off so you can get to the top. Gwyn tries to argue, but she, like, knocks her out, so Emery can just carry her up to the top. One of these days, Sarah will surprise me. I feel like she was better in past books of throwing some twists and turns. This book, not one. Mate. So Cassian and Az follow Brylin and Eris to the lake, and she takes off her hood to reveal she's not even there. It's the Koshai Cassian. I wish I didn't have to wait weeks to upload these on my stories, because someone would have corrected me by now, but by the time this goes up, I will have finished the book and finished all of the updates, so even if you correct me, it's too late, okay, people? So he's done it. It says it's an animated kernel of magic that was showing her. So they thought it was her, but there was nothing in the hood. So I wonder where Brylin can be. We already know that she was the one who made Bellius. Like, Bellius is under her control, and she made him. Like, she wanted them in the right for some reason. Again, maybe because there's a 4th trove in the mountain, because they talked about the palace in the mountain. I don't know, but she's clearly going to show up at the blood riot, because she ain't fucking here. And then we go back to Nesta, and she's just waiting now for Bellius and the guys to arrive. She's got her sword and shield. She's ready. Okay, so Brylin is here. Okay, so basically Azriel asked where she was, and the guy didn't say. Instead, he said he's been spent months preparing for them. But then lets Azriel and Eris run off, like they leave, but Cassian can't move because he's already being controlled by the crown, and Brylin comes out from behind a tree wearing the crown. Can I just say, I just want to say, why was she not under the hood? I don't get it. Like, why was she not under the hood? If she's just going to show up there anyway, why was she not just under the hood? If she's there anyway, like, does anyone get it? Like, why she wasn't just under the hood? She could have used the crown on all of them anyway. But yeah, she says she has need of him and then tells the creature to winnow them. I assume they're winnowing to the mountain, to Nesta, because now she has Cassian. I assume she needs Cassian so that she has a bargaining chip for Nesta to be like, yo, give me my dread trove, bitch. We are now getting ridiculously close to the end. There is really not much left in this book, which makes me worried that it's going to be a rushed ending if she's going to try and address the dread trove, Briarlyn and Nesta, Feyre having a baby. So I really don't know where the book is going. But Emery and Gwyn have made it to the top, touched it and winnowed out. And she's killed every Fey male except for Bellius, and they're about to fight. Okay, so apparently they've decided to fight in hand-to-hand combat because she says she can beat him because her mate taught her well, which is her finally saying that Cassian's her mate. Sarah, I don't care. I don't care. Seems she was wrong. She was a bit too cocky. Cassian did not teach her well. She's getting her ass kicked. Absolutely kicked. Despite her doing something only 12 people have done before her. Despite having killed about 50 fucking other people at this point. Bellius is kicking the ever-loving shit out of her and is about to kill her when Cassian appears behind him and kills him. Then hugs Nesta and is like, I'm going to slit your throat. Because he's under control of the crown. He can't help it. I think it would be fun. I want Sarah to surprise me. I think it'd be fun if Cassian did kill her. I just need something interesting to happen. Or Feyre and Rhys die. Like, lose the baby and horrifically die. Something to truly shock me. Because the way I see it is, they ain't dying. Cassian's not going to kill her. Nesta's not going to have to kill him. Nothing bad's going to happen. Feyre's not going to lose the baby. Rhys isn't going to die. Feyre's not going to die. It's just nothing. What did I get out of this book? Nothing. Okay, so once Nesta sees that Briarlyn is there, she realises she's the one who put her there, as if Bellius telling her that she was the one who made him put the weapons in and stuff was not clue enough. Why are the main characters always so dumb? Nesta is probably the least dumb, but bitch, was it not a big clue when he was like, oh yeah, she made me put the weapons in, she's the reason you're there, mate. Apparently the reason she did it is because Nesta is too strong with her powers, and so being in the Blood Right, they take away your powers, okay? So she did all of it just to wear her down and have her without her magic, which they've not explained how they do that, if it's a spell they put on them. But if she had them kidnap her and have the spell on her so she'd lose her powers, she needed to put through the Blood Right. She could just have had her brought to her after having her powers taken away. Like, I don't get it. It's just so that she can have this big fucking moment on the mountain. Like, I hate it because it's just stupid. So basically she did all this just to get the Dread Trove, made Nesta aware that she wanted it so Nesta would hunt them down and try and keep him from her, so now that she could just take Cassian and then use him to get Nesta to give her the items. And she's like, you can just call the Dread Trove items to you because you're made. Sure. So now she knows that, so I'm sure that's going to come up at some point. But Nesta refuses, so she orders Cassian to kill Nesta. He somehow, obviously because it's convenient, gets his power, like some self-control back, and turns the knife on himself instead. And then Dawn breaks at the exact right moment for Nesta to get all of her powers back, fully erupt, and just literally kill Briarlyn like that. She's dead. She becomes dust. She's dead, people. It's over. Just like that. This is basically literally her past series where the big baddie was Amarantha, but not really. She's not really the big baddie. We're going to kill her in one book and then the big baddie's going to be a man. Because that's what it is, right? Like, Briarlyn, clearly not the big baddie, she died like that, but the Dread Trove is still in play and the sorcerer in the lake still wants stuff. So the big baddie is a big evil, like, male creature who's going to be the big baddie in the next book, and the Dread Trove is still going to be in play. I'm still predicting that there's a fourth item and it's inside the mountain, the Ramil Mountain, because they said 2 of them had palaces, so it's going to have a palace, and said she saw in a vision a 4th item, but she couldn't see exactly what it was, so that's got to come into play at some point. But yeah, he did like that. But yeah, Cassian's not really dead, he just pretended to stab himself. He's just laying on the floor pretending to be dead. Yeah, and then they kiss, have a little moment, and then Mor and Azriel show up to say that, like, Eris is safe, but they have to come because something's wrong with Feyre. She's having the baby. Obviously. She ain't gonna die, Sarah. I don't fucking care. I already know. Okay, so the baby is being born really early and he's wedged in the birth canal, and Feyre's like, just cut the baby out. And they're like, oh no, we can't. No one's ever survived that. So even when she found out the risks to the pregnancy, no one thought to sit her down and have this full discussion. No one. Oh, I hate everyone in this book. Everyone's dumb and annoying me and pissing me off. The only people who didn't piss me off in this book is probably Nesta and Asriel out of the OG characters. Even Cassian was a dick at times. Asriel just kept to himself. Can't wait for his book. Ugh. She's probably going to ruin his character though. But, yeah, so Nesta closes her eyes, summons that power, and literally calls the Dread Trove to her. Of course she does, now that she knows that she can. And plucks the 26th string on the harp, because she kind of figured out that if she plucks, like, the 3rd string, she goes further. And if she plucks, and the further along you go, the further you get. So she's like the 26th string to see what it does. Okay, so basically the 26th string was time itself. It stopped time itself as Feyre took her dying last breath. Nesta goes to her, takes her hand, tells her she loves her, the first time she's ever told her she loves her, and she basically says that if it shows her, she hears a voice which is apparently like the mother, I think, shows her how to save Feyre and the baby, then it can have all the power back that she took. She makes a bargain with the cauldron itself that it can have all of her power back. If it helps her. So basically that Feyre and the baby don't die. Oh my god, I'm so shocked. Oh, I was really scared for a minute there, Sarah. Oh, you got me. No. So Nesta gives up her power in the end to save Feyre and the baby. So she didn't just steal the like cause to like thing from Shadow and Bone. She just stole the end of the book. Like, I get all 3 amplifiers, but then the man I love gets stabbed in the chest, but not really. He's alive. And then I give up my power. Okay. So the baby has magically been turned into a full-termed winged one, and the healer looks down at Feyre's private parts and is like, oh my god, you now have Illyrian anatomy. Oh, how convenient. So if Feyre ever wants to have more kids, she can have them without dying. Oh, I love that for her. And Rhys bows before Nesta. And she drops to her knees and they hug and have their little bonding moment. Oh, I don't care. I can just see people sobbing at the end of this book, and then there's me like, oh my god, are we surprised? Nobody's dead again. Feyre and Rhys named the baby Nyx. Nesta gave up her powers to let that baby live, and you named it Nyx. Ugh. Okay, so Nesta and Cassian go outside to talk, and she says she gave up all of her powers, but not all of them were taken. Something stopped them from all going. I feel like you've used that before, didn't you? Have a character give up all their powers, but not quite. So a little bit remains. And apparently while she was saving Feyre and the baby's life, it occurred to her that she should change her anatomy too, so that she can also pop out Illyrian babies, because all Fey women are good for is getting married and having kids. I'm glad we're sticking with that. Then she tells Cassian she wants to have a mating ceremony and that she loves him. Great. I don't care. Fucking done. Then Cassian goes to visit Eris. Like, Beren has like tortured his own son for information and stuff, and Cassian asks why he left Mor that day in the forest to die, and he says he won't explain it to anyone but Mor. But then earlier he said to Nesta that Mor already knows the truth. She just won't tell anyone. So does she know the truth, or does he need to tell her? Because I thought the whole thing was from, because they gave us the like memory where in front of his soldiers he was acting like he didn't care about her, and he was like, don't touch her, otherwise she's our problem. Like, if they touched her, she would literally belong to their court. And I think, like, obviously in front of his soldiers he has to act like he doesn't, that he's doing it because he doesn't want her, because she's like dirty. But I think the whole reason he doesn't touch her is because of the weird laws and how women are just fucking objects to be passed around. I think she would literally belong to their court, and his dad is an abusive piece of shit. I think he was like, if I don't touch her, then she isn't stuck here, she can go where she wants. Like, right? Like, and I know he still left her out there to die, but I think the whole point is if he touched her, she would, because they have fucking weird ass laws, like with Feyre apparently being Rhys's property and being able to be dragged back to the Spring Court by other courts. I think if he'd let his soldiers touch her, she would literally be a part of their court and she wouldn't be able to go anywhere. She'd be stuck with people who are probably just as abusive as her own family. So I thought that was the whole point. That's why she showed us that scene, right? What is the other reason? And I thought he said that Mor already knows, so I'm confused. The only other thing is, like, obviously leaving her there to die, but Asriel found her pretty soon after that, right? So did he inform them where she was? Did he get the news out of where she was, or did he know and hope she'd be found? I don't know. But I feel like it was like she gave us that clip of him basically showing why he didn't help her, because if he did, she'd belong to their core. Hint at what the next plot is going to be, which is the same plot recycled, and that's that the sorcerer is still in play and Beren could just establish an alliance with him. And then Cassian says that Aerys is a good man, he just thinks he's too much of a coward to act like it. And then the book ends with like a scene where Feyre and Nesta and Elaine go to her father's grave. It's the first time Elaine's been there so that she can have a moment there, say thank you to her dad. They're going to have a mating ceremony in a couple of days. Rhys is paying for it. He's paying for everything because like he can't stop saying thank you to Nesta for what she did. And Feyre finally did a painting of Nesta. It's her mating present of her on the pass fighting people off. And that's it. The book ends. And like, that was the most underwhelming like ending to a book I think I've ever read. I just wanted to be like a few twists and turns, at least in some of the previous books. I think there were genuine moments of like, but in this one I'm just like, nothing. I feel nothing. It just had nothing to offer. It was such an underwhelming ending. Like Brylin was killed like that. Feyre was saved like that. Like, ugh. This book was a mess, people. A fucking mess. And I think I might write up an actual review for this one for once, because in my head, the problem I have with this book is that it feels like she wanted to do one thing and wasn't allowed. I genuinely believe all she wanted to write was a smutty romance, and she felt like, given what she'd done with past books, that she wasn't allowed to do that, so she had to try and put some kind of plot into it. But all that accomplished was that instead of dedicating 100% of her time and effort into one story, she split it across 3 different things, or like even 4 things, of just like, oh, the dread trove, but also the blood riot, and like Feyre's getting pregnant, but there's also a romance going on. So she just didn't dedicate enough time and energy into any of those things for them to be well developed, well written, and like actually have any impact. I think she just ran herself too thin. I think she just wanted to write a smutty romance, and she should have just wrote a smutty romance. Because it's actually a fucking beast, and it didn't need to be. Really didn't need to be. She didn't dedicate enough time to any of the plot points for them to be super well developed, and I think she literally just wanted to write smutty romances. 3 smutty romances, and I think she should have done that. I think this should have just been a 350 to 400 page smutty romance, and it would have been probably more well developed on the romance side. And I think the next 2 are also romances with an overarching plot that is just going to also be stretched out to like 800 pages, not well developed in any way, predictable and annoying. And I think she should just wrote 3 short 350 page smutty romances like she wanted. Also, I'd like to see Elaine not end up with her mate, but I have a feeling that the next books will be Elaine and Lucien getting together, and then Azriel getting with Gwyn, maybe. But she seems to really be going on the Aerys train, so maybe Aerys will get with someone, but I don't know who. Because that would make sense, because then all 3 of the boys have had a book and all 3 of the girls will have had a book. But if Elaine and Azriel end up together, that'd be 1 book, and it'd leave 1 at the end. But I would like someone to reject the mating bond, and it be a story where it proves that you don't have to be magically connected to have a relationship. I don't know why she's so scared of people just being together because they love each other and not because magic destiny tells them that they're supposed to end up together. Like, I need someone to reject the mating bond. Just 1. I guess we will see. But yeah, I found this one disappointing. I'm giving it 3 stars, because I still, like I've said, I like the worlds and the characters, and I really liked Nesta as a main character. I think she's probably her least annoying protagonist so far. And in terms of this series, I think I genuinely would say A Court of Mist and Fury is in the number 1 spot, and then even though this one really disappointed me, I put it in the number 2 spot because I much prefer Nesta as a main character. I think she's far more interesting and way less annoying and way less stupid than Feyre was. So I would say A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Silver Flames, then I would put ACOTAR next, then I would put ACOWAR, and then A Court of Frost and Starlight right at the bottom, because it's the most pointless fucking book in existence. Doesn't have a fucking plot. It's like someone didn't tell him that a novella is literally just a short novel. That's what it means. It's a short novel, so it should still have a fucking plot, but it didn't have a plot. What was the plot of that book? None. You could literally burn it, get rid of it, take it out of the book series, and it would change nothing. Absolutely sweet fuck all. Hated that book with a passion. Okay, so I've read the 2 bonus chapters, Azrael's and Feyre's. Apparently the Feyre one was supposed to be in the book and got cut by an editor. Apparently she does have an editor. Apparently she's really fucking shit at getting Sarah J Maas to, I don't know, make a decent book. But at least she got to cut that because it was really fucking pointless. Rhys basically calls Elaine boring, but nice. Very fucking true. She's got a personality like fucking cardboard. And then Feyre's like, I don't think we've seen her full potential yet. I'm like, oh, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Then it shows when they found out they were pregnant, which apparently really turned both of them on, and then they immediately fuck on the floor. I mean, if the thought of that turns you on, I mean, have a word with yourself, maybe. I don't really know. And then they choose the name Nyx, which, again, it's an ugly ass fucking name. And then I read Azrael's, which just confirms that she cannot do a distinguishable male voice. His inner voice is just Cassian's and Rhys's when we got Rhys's inner voice, which is that he just thinks of fucking all the time. Like, it's winter solstice, Elaine comes down to sneak a present, but he sees her and it's a present for him, it's earbuds. And then he gives her a present, a golden necklace with this stained glass rose on it. And then he's like, he like puts the necklace on her and he's like, oh, I need to know what her skin tastes like, what her breast tastes like, her sex, and his cock strains in his pants. Like, it's literally Cassian. We had this exact same scene with Cassian where he's then talking about how he sits in bed at night and wanks over Nesta. That's this. We also had that scene with Rhys. She cannot distinguish between her men. They all just sound like teenage boys. It's really fucking disappointing. I feel like she's going to ruin Azrael's character for me too. But yeah, they go to kiss and then Rhys catches them, and then this makes me want to just punch Rhys in the balls even more than the book did. So Rhys basically pulls him upstairs, has a massive go at him, says like, oh, you can't kiss her mate's here, and Lucien can defend their bond any way he sees fit. It could make you duel. And he's like, I'd kill him. And he's like, yeah, and you'd ruin any peace between us. And I'd just like to point out that I hate the mating bonds. I hate the world that she creates. Why do her women just, they have no agency? She pretends like they do, but apparently they don't. If Elaine doesn't want to be with Lucien, apparently it's not up to her. He can still, the person that she chooses to be with, he could just make duel him and kill him, because men get all the power in this world and I fucking detest it with a passion. It's stupid. So then he goes back to the House of Wind where him and Gwyn have a moment, and it's like his shadows seem to sing when they hear her sing, so I think it's very fucking clear. And then he goes and gives the necklace to Gwyn, so it's very fucking clear that we're just going to have mates ending up with mates, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So it looks like the book will be Elaine getting with Lucien, even though they've had zero fucking chemistry in this entire fucking book. She's got zero fucking personality, because apparently relationships are only special in her world if you are mates. That thing that she said was super fucking rare, but then you're going to tell me that Feyre gets a mate, Rhys gets a mate, Cassian, Nesta, Elaine, Lucien, Azrael, they all get mates. No. No. I just want one person to reject the bond. I would like one woman to get a say, and it not just be like, because I see people being like, oh, she needs to give Lucien a chance. Why does she? Why? They're mates. It doesn't mean anything. Ugh, annoys me. Like, people act like being mates is some super special thing and they have to be together, even though Sarah J Maas made a point of saying that mates can be completely unsuitable for each other, that Rhys's mum was miserable, that Tamlin's mum was miserable, but we're like, even though she doesn't want to be with Lucien, she needs to get with him because they're mates. Also, some other theories. The 3 swords will come back into play that were mentioned. The one that got thrown in the sea, the one that begins with Gwyn, and they will either go to the 3 Valkyries or the 3 sisters. That's my other prediction, and that there will be a palace under Ramil that will have the 4th Dread Trove in it. Okay. Now, I am very much of the opinion now that she's just literally going the mate route, that everyone, even though she said it was super rare for people to find, she's just going to have every single one of her characters find their mate. Think, like, I don't like Elaine, I think she's boring, but I do not want her with Lucien. I don't want it. I would rather she get with Azrael. Especially, I should have a conversation with myself, but especially now that Rhys has expressly forbid it. I'm like, I want it even more. I want it even more. Now that he said that they can't, under any circumstances, be together, I'm like, you just made me want it. And I don't like Elaine. But I think it's going to be that Gwyn the singer is going to be the mate of the shadow singer, and then Elaine and Lucien are going to end up together, proving that mates are not a choice, really, are they? Like, it just reminds me of Stephenie Meyer. You know, where these authors go like, no, there is a choice. People do have a choice. It's not this weird forced thing. They have a choice. Like, where she was like, imprinting is not inherently sexual and they can just be friends, but every single imprinting person I've brought up will end up with the person they imprint on, even if they used to change their nappies, even if they used to babysit them. They all end up together, proving that it is in fact a forced thing. But I'm giving you the illusion that it's a choice people make. But every single time I bring up an imprinting, or like Sarah J Maas, a mating bond, they will end up together, because it's not really a choice. It's just not. I hate it. I want Lucian. I would prefer Lucian to not end up with her. I want him to have a throuple with him and Jurian and Vassa. That could be fun. But yeah, I'm just seeing it now. Lucian with Elaine, Azriel with Gwyn. Kill me now. Also, I just want to bring up a theory, because again, we have mentioned, as I've mentioned before, Sarah J Maas can't really put anything in without it being something that's going to come back later, which is why I truly believe the free swords will come back into play, as there's free Valkyries like Gwyn, Emery and Nesta, or as the swords are all made things, there are free sisters who have all been made, so the free swords will go to the free sisters. That's my theory, that the swords will come back into play. The Dread Trove is not done with yet, because there is still that fourth Dread Trove item she saw but didn't really know what it was, couldn't properly see it conveniently. And the mention of, oh, 2 of the free sister mountains had hidden palaces under there, but no one's ever checked the 3rd one. Oh, I wonder. But the other thing that she brings up about Gwyn that wouldn't be brought up if it weren't going to come back is the fact that bitch was conceived, doesn't know who her dad is, but was conceived on the night of the Great Rite. Okay? And we discovered in previous books that everyone celebrates that differently, and I think Spring Court is the only one that does that particular ceremony where they fuck someone to release magic. So her mum would have had to travel to the Spring Court, so her father will be someone she slept with on that night 28 years ago. I think she's about 28. So she wouldn't bring it up if it was not important. So who do we think her dad's going to be? Is it going to be Tamlin? I mean, she's like, my mum never knew. I feel like she would know the High Lord. Like, they're pretty well known. I think she'd know, especially when they all have very identifiable masks stuck to their faces. Like, everyone has their own mask, and so it'd be obvious who he was. But she wouldn't bring it up if it weren't important. And if Gwyn is his daughter, that means that we finally have someone who can take over from him, because he's fucking useless. Especially if she has him dying, like sacrifice himself to save Gwyn at some point. She never brings up anything without it coming back to it at some point. So it's going to come back that she was conceived at a ceremony that only takes place in the Spring Court. And the only thing I can think of what that could be is that her father is either Tamlin or Lucian, 2 people who were in the Spring Court that we know of. But I feel like it would be Tamlin, because then we have a second option for who can rule the Spring Court. But I guess we will see. I'm just nervous for the next 2 books. I think they're just going to be boring, predictable. Oh, look, we're mates, so we must end up together. Super happy. Because even though she said it's super rare, apparently it's not super rare. And even though she pointed out that being mates doesn't mean we should have to end up together because some people aren't compatible, actually, every single person that she says has a mate is going to end up with their mate super happy. Even though Elaine has shown 0 fucking interest in Lucian this whole time.